Good morning. This is Pastor Jeff, and this is our daily lectionary readings for Friday, September 27th, 2024. Our psalm reading, once again, is going to be Psalm 124. Our Old Testament reading is going to be in the book of Esther. Once again, this time we're in chapter 2, verses 1 through 23. And then our New Testament reading, we're in the Acts again, but this time we're in Acts 12, 20, and 25. And I'm not sure if we have this set up yet, so let me click over here and see where we are at. We are not, so I got to click back out, click the new one, and it's going to be once again then in the Living Bible, and it will be Psalm 124 to begin with. If the Lord had not been on our side, let all Israel admit it. If the Lord had not been on our side, we would have been swallowed alive by our enemies, destroyed by their anger. We would have been drowned beneath the flood of these men's fury and pride. Blessed be Jehovah, who has not let them devour us. We have escaped with our lives as a bird from a hunter's snare. The snare is broken and we are free. Our help is from the Lord who has made heaven and earth. Our Old Testament reading comes from the book of Esther, chapter 2. But after King Ahasuerus' anger had cooled, he began brooding over the loss of Vashti, realizing that he would never see her again. So his aides suggested, "Let us go and find the most beautiful girls in the empire and bring them to the king for his pleasure. We will appoint agents in each province to select lovelies from the royal harem. Higai, the eunuch in charge, will see that they are given beauty treatments, and after that, the girls who pleases you most shall be the queen instead of Vashti." This suggestion naturally pleased the king very much, and he put the plan into immediate effect. Now there was a certain Jew at the palace named Mordecai, son of Jair, son of Shema, son of Kish, a Benjamite. He had been captured when Jerusalem was destroyed by King Nebuchadnezzar, and had been exiled to Babylon along with King Jeconiah of Judah and many others. This man had a beautiful and lovely young cousin, Hadeshah, also called Esther, whose father and mother were dead, and whom he had adopted into his family and raised as his own daughter. So now, as a result of the king's decree, Esther was brought to the king's harem at Shusha Palace, along with many other young girls. Higai, who was responsible for the harem, was very much impressed with her and did his best to make her happy. He ordered a special menu for her, favored her for the beauty treatments, and gave her 7 girls from the palace as her maids, and gave her the most luxurious apartment in the harem. Esther hadn't told anyone that she was a Jewess, for Mordecai had said not to. He came daily to the court of the harem to ask Esther and to find out what was happening to her. The instructions concerning these girls were that before being taken to the king's bed, each would be given 6 months of beauty treatments with oil of myrrh, followed by 6 months with special perfumes and ointment. Then, as each girl's turn came for spending the night with King Ahasuerus, she was given her choice of clothing or jewelry she wished to enhance her beauty. She was taken to the king's apartment in the evening, and the next morning returned to the second harem where the king's wives lived. Then she was under the care of Shashah, another of the king's eunuchs, and lived there for the rest of her life, never seeing the king again unless he had especially enjoyed her and called her by name. When it was Esther's turn to go to the king, she accepted the advice of Higai, the eunuch in charge of the harem, dressing according to his instructions, and all the other girls exclaimed with delight when they saw her. So Esther was taken to the palace of the king in January of the 7th year of the reign. Well, the king loved Esther more than any of the other girls. He was so delighted with her that he set the royal crown on her head and declared her queen instead of Vashti. To celebrate the occasion, he threw another big party, for all the officials and servants, giving generous gifts to everyone, and making grants to the providence in the forms of remission of taxes. Later, the king demanded a second bevy of beautiful girls. By the time Mordecai had become a government official, Esther still hadn't told anyone she was a Jewess, for she was still following Mordecai's orders, just as she had in his home. One day, as Mordecai was on duty at the palace, two of the king's eunuchs, Bigtha and Teresh, who were guards at the palace gate, became angry at the king and plotted to assassinate him. Mordecai heard about it and passed the information on to Queen Esther, who told the king, crediting Mordecai with the information. As the investigation was made, the two men were found guilty and impaled alive. This was all dutifully recorded in the book of history of King Ahasuerus' reign. Our New Testament reading comes from the book of Acts, chapter 12, verses 20 through 25. While he was in Caesarea, a delegation from Tyre and Sidon arrived to see him. He was highly displeased with the people of these two cities, but the delegates made friends with Blastus, the royal secretary, and asked for peace, for their cities were economically dependent upon trade with Herod's country. An appointment with Herod was granted, and when the day arrived, he put on his royal robe, sat on his throne, and made a speech to them. At its conclusion, to the people, gave him a great ovation, shouting, "It is the voice of God, and not of a man." Instantly, an angel of the Lord struck Herod with a sickness, that he was filled with maggots, and died, because he accepted the people's worship instead of giving the glory to God. God's good news was spreading rapidly, and there were many new believers. Barnabas and Paul now visited Jerusalem, and as soon as they had finished their business, returned to Antioch, taking John Mark with them. And here ends our readings for the day.